Hello and welcome to Talking Good Games. Just finished Olympiacos 2, West Ham United 1. Absolutely pathetic from West Ham this evening. Now, David Moyes is going to get the majority of the blame. David Moyes is going to get a lot of the blame, and so he should. That starting 11 completely underestimated Olympiacos. I wasn't happy with it. Now, football fans are not football experts per se. We're just football fans. You're entitled to your opinion, of course. But the experts are those who are employed by football clubs, who earn a wage in the game. They're the professionals. David Moyes is an elite Premier League manager. He's an expert. But what I'm trying to say is us football fans aren't necessarily the experts. We're just football fans. But my rule of thumb is, but when you feel like 90% want the same thing, there's something in that. So when 90% don't want Danny Ings to start as a striker, there's probably something in that. I would suggest we were proven correct tonight. The football fans were proven correct tonight. It was pathetic, though. Now, like I said, Moyes will get most of the blame, and a lot of the blame should be placed at his door. However, do not let that distract you from the poor performances we have just witnessed from the West Ham players tonight. Far too many ridiculously bad attitudes, lack of effort from some of the players involved tonight. Pathetic. A really, really bad evening from us. The scoreline will suggest it was a close game. The statistics might even suggest it was a close game. A close game it was not. Olympiacos thoroughly deserved their win. We got what we deserved, which is a defeat. But that was an embarrassing performance, I feel, from West Ham. I was hoping the Villa game on Sunday was a bit of a one-off, that they were poor against Sunday, but I could take that because it's Aston Villa. I can't really stomach it tonight, but also, like I said, I do lay a lot of the blame at David Moyes' door, but not just him, the players. A lot of those players out there tonight. Embarrassing. I feel sorry for those that's forked out a load of money to go over there and watch that lot, because the fans turned up, but the players didn't. As simple as that. Let's get on to the game then. 33 minutes in, they made it 1-0. Would I say it was coming? They were probably the better team. Were they excellent? Not really, but we were that bad. We deserved to go 1-0 down. Maybe Olympiacos perhaps didn't deserve to go ahead, in the sense that Ariola wasn't exactly troubled or anything, but our performance was so bad at this point, we deserve to go a goal down. Fortunas with the goal. It's poor. It's poor. But now, I'm not blaming Benrahma or Fornals for this, by the way. Ward-Prowse is more culpable than those two. But if you want something that sums up Benrahma's performance and Fornals' performance tonight, look at their lack of effort for this first goal. Fortunas just simply backtracks a couple of yards and goes round in a circle, and he shrugs off Ward-Prowse, Fornals, and Benrahma. None of them getting near him at all. Like I said, it's Ward-Prowse's man. He's the one that should be going with him. He just leaves him as well. He finds himself very central, 20 yards out or something. He decides to toe punt it, not close down. Mavropanos is stood with his arms behind his back, watching him, allowing him to shoot. It's a toe punt. I don't like these shots. Nicks Mavropanos, flies into the bottom corner. I'm not sure Ariola can do much about it, truth be told. It's a good goal, but it's just pathetic from our players. I'm aware I've used that word pathetic a lot tonight. I'm going to try and use different words from now on. But it was horrific defending. They looked like they couldn't be arsed. Our players looked like they could not be bothered when it went 1-0 Olympiacos. It went 2-0 just before half-time. This was coming as well. This was coming. I sort of made a bit of a joke to myself when the minutes went up. It was only 1 minute stoppage. And I was like, thank God it's not 4. Otherwise, we'd go 2-0 down. And, the joke was on me, really, because Ogbonna decided that he couldn't clear a pretty standard cross now. I say standard cross. It's a half-decent cross by Rodney, or Rodney, his name was. Whips it in with his weak foot. Bounces in. It's an awkward ball in for the centre-back to deal with. But if you're going to go for it, you've got to make sure you get this. Ogbonna does go for it, but he ends up looping over Ariola's head. And if this was a one-off, you'd shrug it off. But bear in mind, he cost us a goal a couple of games ago in European football as well. Not great. Went in 2-0 at half-time. We deserved to be losing. We deserved it. No player in that starting 11 was playing well. None of them were covering themselves with glory. I think Kerr's positioning was awful in the first half. He looked good defending because he had to keep getting back to make up for him being 10 yards out of position. Mavropanos did some nice slick passes, but also did some crap passes into the middle of the midfield and took Souček and Ward-Prowse out of the game, allowed them to counter-attack us. Ogbonna looks like a player at the end of his career. I thought Emerson did well down the left-hand side. Souček and Ward-Prowse look like they've never met each other before. They might as well not have been there, truth be told. Whenever Olympiacos got the ball in midfield, it was like Moses stood in the middle of the ocean. We just parted and just let him through. Fornals, he might as well just not been on the pitch, truth be told. Ben Rama at least moved his arse. The rest, not so much. This is how bad it got. I was almost impressed by Cornet's cameo because he actually ran about. And I found myself, why am I getting happy to see someone run? But that's the standard that those in the first half set. Fornals didn't look like he wanted to be there. Ben Rama, like I said, he looked busy, but his decision-making was shocking. Shooting when he shouldn't be shooting. One point in the first half, he should be cutting across. He's a very acute angle and decides to shoot. Didn't even hit the sign. It misses the sign netting. Is that bad a shot? Then he decides to hit it from 40 yards straight into defender. Shock horror. It flew behind him. And then they ended up counter-attacking us when they had about 3 options to pass. There was just nothing in the first half. Kudus, well, I'll tell you what, Kudus was a fantastic defender in the first half. He was really good. Getting back, helping out. That was all he was doing, though. Danny Ings, I mean, bloody hell. Do you know something? That's Danny Ings' 20th game for West Ham without a goal. The longest he's gone in his career. Well, that don't surprise you, does it? Granted, some of those appearances will include 2 minutes off the bench, but it doesn't surprise you. Danny Ings is a goal scorer. Danny Ings can score goals. He scored goals all his career until he comes to West Ham. He suddenly stops scoring goals. I refuse to believe that Danny Ings is the problem here. The problem is using Danny Ings, how we use him. Again, the only time I saw Ings involved tonight was when he was on the touchline, when he was trying to hold play up 40 yards from their goal, hold off a centre-back and win us a throw-in. It was just pointless. It was honestly pointless. But what annoyed me the most was at halftime. Well, I say that annoyed me the most, believe it or not, but went in 2-0 down at halftime, deserved it. But in the second half, at halftime, no subs. No substitute. We're 2-0 down. He does no subs. He put the same players out with the same formation, same personnel, and gave them 10 minutes to rectify what? That's 45 minutes and did nothing. What are we expecting them to do in 10 minutes? Make the changes at halftime. You give the boys a chance to get something out of this game. Get Paqueta, get Bowen, get Antonio, get whoever you want. You've got 5 subs there. Alvarez should have been on at halftime, I feel, because we had nothing in midfield. Make the subs at halftime and give them 45 minutes to get something out of the game. Now, how the game ended up, I would argue we might have done it. We would have deserved it, no, but we might have done it. So when I seen the same players come out for the second half, all I could take from that was that Moyes was happy with a 2-0 loss. Because if he wasn't, where was the changes? Why give Fornals 10 minutes to show an improvement? He wasn't going to do it. He had 45 minutes and did nothing. We underestimated Olympiacos from the start. But I'll tell you what, Moyes underestimated Olympiacos again at halftime by thinking he could put the same 11 out and something was going to happen. I don't know what he was expecting. I have no idea what he was expecting at all. The man that went to Amsterdam and visited the glory hole has had a better holiday than the players that went out to Greece this week. They were shocking in the first half. But we did make the changes. He brought on the big guns. Bowen came on, Paqueta came on, Antonio came on. Eventually, Alvarez came on, and then Maxwell Cornet got a rare cameo. But you know what? At least he tried. I thought Cornet tried. Did he contribute anything? Not really, but at least he put in some effort. We got to go back. By the way, stunning strike. Absolute stunning strike by Lucas Paqueta. Not his best performance. Possibly thought he was going to get sent off. I mean, truth be told, I thought him, Antonio, and Ogbonna were all trying to get sent off at one point. But at least they had a bit of attitude. At least they had a bit of grit about them. Whilst Antonio can borderline, I mean, he must really piss off referees when he's on it like tonight. Just he's constant going on like this. Just simple things. He's still going at it. But I tell you what, at least he's had something about him. Because Ings, for now, I saw nothing. They just accepted the fact that they were crap. It was almost like, oh, we're going to get beat. We're not that arse by it kind of thing. At least the boys that he brought on actually looked pissed off that we were losing to. There was almost like this sense of acceptance from the players that started that they weren't good enough to win that game tonight. It's like, well, we're the B team. We're not going to get anything. They were almost... I just didn't feel like they were embarrassed tonight. But the players that came on, Paqueta and Antonio in particular, and then Alvarez, I felt like there was almost an element of embarrassment that they were getting beat by Olympiacos. And that's no disrespect to Olympiacos. I'm not saying we should be rocking up there and winning, but what we should be doing is rocking up there and making sure we take the bloody game serious. But the starting 11 would indicate we didn't, and the lack of subs at half time would indicate that we didn't either. It was game on for 10 minutes. Were we unlucky not to draw? No. Did we almost score again? No. The keeper didn't really have anything to do whatsoever. So even when we're throwing the kitchen sink at them, there was nothing there. It was just embarrassing from West Ham tonight. I know people think, oh, you're embarrassing with your rant tonight. Well, I am ranting because I'm pissed off because coming into the international break after that draw with Newcastle, I felt like it had been a good start to the season. We're in a good position, 2 wins from 2 in European football. Come out, got our pants pulled down by Villa at the weekend. We've just got beaten Greece, and now suddenly we've got it not quite at all to do. 6 points from 2, still an okay return. But Olympiacos are now back in it. Freiburg are up there with us. It's no longer. We were in control of the group before tonight, not so much anymore. It's now wide open with 3 teams competing for 2 spaces. So the luxury Moyes thought he had tonight, which was to rest a few players, well, actually, that luxury is gone now because when we play Olympiacos in a couple of weeks, we're going to have to put out our strongest 11 in order to get 3 points to make sure that we're back in control to get out of this group stage. But all he's done is put pressure on himself for Sunday. He now needs to win on Sunday. You can't rest the players. And that's his words, not mine. His words were he was resting players. And I find myself a little bit, I get why people say that the player, how do you expect the players to perform when they don't play that often, Benrahma and Fornals, etc. And whilst I agree when they come off the bench at weekends, they should be given, well, Fornals got about 2 minutes against Aston Villa. I mean, talk about insulting him, but 4-1 down, he brings on Fornals for 2. There you are, Fornals, 2 minutes against Villa at 4-1 down. That's what I think of you. But while they're not playing in the Premier League, they're still playing weekly in Europa League. If you take Everton, our next opponents, Dwight McNeil only plays once a week, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, whatever game it is at the weekend. He plays 1 game a week. Mavropanos is, even though he's not playing the Premier League, he's still playing a game a week. He's still playing Thursday. He's still playing regular football. It's just not in the Premier League. So while I get it to some extent, I don't think it's the be-all and end-all excuse that sometimes gets attributed to these players, because there's no reason for Fornals to be unable to do a 10-yard pass tonight, because that's what we saw. There's no reason for... what we saw tonight was just a collective performance of players that couldn't really be arsed. It didn't look like they wanted to be there. I didn't want them to be there. And I tell you what, David Moyes didn't want them to be there. Before the game, he got asked why there was so much rotation. Was he getting players an opportunity or whatever? He basically said, no, I'm resting players. I mean, what kind of vote of confidence is that in Fornals and Benrahma? You're only playing because I want to give Bowen a break. We all know that that's the truth. But don't tell them that. Basically, tell them, no, we've got beat 4-1 by Villa. Shirts up for grabs at the weekends. I want to see what these boys can do. Well, you got your flipping answer. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Tonight's just put the pressure on Moyes going into the weekend, and it's turned... Gonzo summed it up well a couple of days ago. He said, what we feel like was a good season. Not everybody feels like we had one. That's fine. Me and Gonzo feel like we've had a good start to the season. It's very quickly turning into an average start to the season. And it puts the pressure on Sunday because you're going to rest players tonight and essentially concede tonight's game. That's what's happened. Then you bloody damn well make sure you win at the weekend, because the only way that he can justify tonight's team selection is by beating Everton, and beating Everton comfortably / well at the weekend. Do that on Sunday, it sort of justifies his team selection. I would argue it doesn't, because we've lost the game. He's underestimated Olympiacos tonight. Now, like I said, I'm not putting all the blame at David Moyes' door, because what I've seen from some of those players tonight is inexcusable. And yes, maybe Moyes should have managed them better, etc., etc. But for professional footballers on such a handsome wage, I expect better performances from that, regardless of how the manager treats them. Not good. The attitude tonight was poor. I thought the starting 11 was poor. I thought the substitutes were late. I'm struggling to take positives from tonight, to be honest with you. I really am. All this has done is probably mean that Paqueta, Bowen, I know Emerson's suspended for the weekend, but bear with me here. Emerson, Antonio, well, strap yourselves in, lads, because you're going to be playing Sunday, Thursday for the next month, because he now cannot use Fornals. He cannot use Danny Ings again. I mean, he shouldn't be using Ings in the first place tonight, but for whatever reason, he's done it, probably to justify him getting 125 grand a week. All he's done is justify why he shouldn't be playing. Tonight was an opportunity to try something. If you want to listen, I don't have an issue with them resting Antonio, by the way. I'm not saying Antonio should have started. I didn't want Antonio to start. That's not what I'm annoyed at. I'm annoyed at Ings being his replacement. That's where my frustration lies. There's two other options, Bowen or Mubama. Try one of those up front, because we know Ings doesn't work. And this is when he said after the Villa game, we are building. Now, I'm not going in two-footed on that, because I get what he means. I think teams are constantly building. Liverpool, midfield, this season, building. Right? Klopp's been there forever, building. So I do get what he means. But when you then play Danny Ings up front, it's hard to buy into the fact that you're building something, because that's not what that is. Anyway, I'm just going to... I was relatively calm after the Villa game, despite losing 4-1. I was relatively calm because we played a damn good side. And I thought, do you know something? I think this is going to sound stupid, but hopefully not everybody... Well, I say, you can disagree if you want. This is my opinion. I actually thought we played better in spells, not over 90 minutes. In spells, I thought we played better against Villa than we did tonight. I thought we played all right for 2 10-minute periods on Sunday. Tonight, we didn't even have that. There was nothing. Up until we scored in the 87th minute, there was nothing from us. Even after that, while it was all West Ham, it was only because Olympiacos was retreating to hang on to their 1-goal lead. That's all. It wasn't because we were forcing them back. They were defending comfortably with what we threw at them. Seriously poor. Really, really poor. What is it? 400 odd million. And his plan B is Danny Ings up front, who hasn't scored for 19 games prior to tonight. If you want Ings to start scoring, you're going to have to fucking change something. You can't just keep using him the same way you have done for the last 19 games when he's failed to score. But no, we go and play him in the exact same way as the 19 other times. And what happens? The exact same thing. No goals, no contribution. He didn't get into the game. But I struggle to blame Danny Ings at this point. It's on the manager. Tonight is on the manager, but I'll tell you what, it's also on those players as well, because some of those performances, absolutely shocking. Anyway, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to disappear. I'll do the player ratings with Gonzo tomorrow. So if you're on Patreon, we'll be live in the morning at some point discussing the starting 11, David Moyes, the substitutes, patreon.com/HammersChat. If you want to hear more, you can go over there and sign up. I can't even be bothered promoting Patreon that well. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it. Helps the channel out. Subscribe to Hammers Chat. I'll catch up with you tomorrow.